Yes. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs 14:34, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. The target of this phrase is no specific nation, but its meaning clearly applies to all nations, and this includes the British Virgin Islands. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we praise you, we worship you, and we give you thanks for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We're asking you, Heavenly Father, that you might condescend and make yourself available to these proceedings. I pray, Father, for wisdom. I pray, Lord, that you might bless the sitting this morning and that your name might be glorified. Thank you for hearing us and thank you for blessing us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Honorable members, this House is now in session. I call upon the clerk.
Item number 2, announcements by the Speaker.
Good morning to all honorable members and guests in the gallery. First, let me apologize for the late start. It was due to the weather. Once it starts to rain, it's difficult to hear within these walls. I welcome you to the 15th sitting of the second session of the Fourth House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands today, Thursday, October 1st, 2020, to celebrate a historic occasion in which we will be swearing in a local Attorney General for the second time in 21 years. We will, for this occasion, allow honorable members and persons in the gallery to express their appreciation for this moment via clapping or members tapping their desk. Before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge the Honorable Premier and his government and the opposition leader, as well as all opposition members. Thanks to our guests in the gallery for accepting our kind invitation, and I would like to just acknowledge a few persons in the gallery. I recognize the Deputy Governor, Mr. David D. Archer and Mrs. Archer. I also recognize the Honorable Madam Justice, Vicky Ann Ellis, as well as our First Lady, Mrs. Sheila Forbes Foy, along with all the other spouses in the gallery. And I would like to also recognize the former Premier, Dr. the Honorable D. Orlando Smith, and his wife, Miss Lorna Smith, and also the former Attorney General, former legislator also, Mrs. Dancia Penn Sala QC, as well as the parents of the designee, Mr. and Mrs. Bennett Smith, along with other immediate family, and of course the Attorney General designee, Ms. Dawn J. Smith. Honorable members and persons in the gallery, the Constitution of the Virgin Islands makes provision in Section 58 for an Attorney General who will be a member of both the executive and legislative branches of government. According to our Constitution, there are 15 members of the House of Assembly. There are also 3 ways one may become a member. The first way is via general election as per Section 64 of the Constitution. Out of the 13 elected members, 9 comes via single districts and the other 4 members are elected territory-wide. Their constituents is all residents of the BVI. One can also qualify to be a member of the House if they are successful in a by-election. 2, another way is through becoming the Speaker, who according to Section 69 of the Constitution is elected by the 13 members of the House. In our case, the Speaker came from outside of the House of Assembly. However, the Constitution makes provision for a Speaker who who can be elected from amongst the 13 elected members who came to the House of Assembly through a general election. The Speaker's only constituents is current and former members of the House of Assembly. Finally, one can become a member of the House of Assembly by being appointed the Attorney General, as per Section 58 of the Constitution. The role of the Attorney General is to be the principal legal advisor to the government of the Virgin Islands. The occupant of that office is a public officer and sits in both the executive and legislative branches. The Attorney General only constituents is the executive branch via the Cabinet, the legislature, the National Security Council, as well as central governments, departments, and ministries. So there's hope for those who can't get elected. There are two other options. I look forward to my working relationship with the new Attorney General designee, Ms. Dawn J. Smith, for the remaining life of the Fourth House of Assembly. Madam Incoming Attorney General, I know in my role as Speaker that we may not always agree. However, I trust that we will avoid, in my official capacity, where the Attorney General is arguing against the Speaker of the House in a court of law. Notwithstanding, at times I will exercise the right to obtain independent legal advice. But please do not ever see this as a method to undermine your wise counsel. Rather, it's only to supplement it. This morning, you are joining a unique combination of legislators in the Fourth House of Assembly, committed men and women filled with talent, youth, experience, wit, compassion, love for country, and most of all, dedication and commitment to the people of this territory. I thought I would share a few trivia about the current House of Assembly. Your joining this body now means that there will be a record 4 women in the House of Assembly. So I'm now hoping that there will be a women's caucus. There are 2 Wheatleys, 2 Julians, with your arrival now, 2 Smiths. In addition, 2 members have been here for over 21 years. 2 members are from the sister islands. 2 members were immediate past civil servants, while another 2 were immediate past public officers. Another little random fun fact is that there are 2 elected members without middle initials. Then about 6 of our members are related to each other, and coincidentally, the first local Attorney General, Mrs. Nancy Pencelo QC, who served from 1992 to 1999, hails from East End, just like you, Ms. Smith. When I advised the opposition leader, Honorable Maloney Penn, that we were planning a special sitting to swear you in today, his face lit up, and he said to me, "Great, she is from East End." So, Attorney General designee, I know you will feel at home amongst us. In closing, I welcome you to the House of Assembly as a member, and while you will escape the many demands that the 13 of our members face on a daily basis from the general public, I am sure that the Premier would have briefed you that he has an ambitious legislative agenda. Therefore, expect long days, long nights, and long debates in this chamber. More often than not, you will also be called upon to give your legal opinion on contentious matters. Therefore, you have your work cut out for you. But I take comfort in knowing you are up to the task. With that said, I call upon the clerk to administer the oath of office and pin you with the House of Assembly lapel pin, and I ask everyone to stand.
I, Dawn Juliana Smith, do solemnly and sincerely affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law.
Congratulations. I'd like to ask everyone to remain standing as we also play a prelude of the Oh Beautiful Virgin Islands, the one that was passed. I'm told I'm getting ahead of myself.
I, Dawn Juliana Smith, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will well and truly serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and the people of the Virgin Islands in the office of Attorney General.
While she's being pinned with the official House of Assembly lapel pin and being escorted to her seat, I invite you to remain standing as we will play a prelude of the territorial song, O Beautiful Virgin Islands. I invite the new Attorney General to take her position in the chambers. Please be seated. I call upon the clerk.
Item number 4, presentation of papers.
I recognize the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance and Leader of Government Business, inviting him to lay his documents on the table.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the first motion, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to move, Mr. Speaker, will entail in terms of us foregoing with the regular standard of the House so that members can be able to move to give their remarks. But before I do that, Mr. Speaker, I would like to also. Can I hear me?
Yeah. You have the 6 feet. You can take off the mask.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can you hear me now? Good. Mr. Speaker, I rise to lay on the table of the House the statutory instrument 2020 number 113, a proclamation by His Excellency the Governor under Section 83(1) of the Virgin Islands Constitution Order 2007 UKSI 2007 number 1678, revoking the time and place at which the 15th sitting of the second session of the 4th House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands shall be laid. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to lay on the table of the House the statutory instrument 2020 number 114, a proclamation by His Excellency the Governor under Section 83(1) of the Virgin Islands Constitutional Order 2007, UKSI 2007 number 1678, revoking the time and place at which the 16th sitting of the second session of the 4th House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands shall be held. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to finally, while I'm on my feet, lay on the table of the House the statutory instrument 2020 number 115, a proclamation by His Excellency the Governor under Section 83(1) of the Virgin Islands Constitutional Order 2007, UKSI 2007 number 1678, appointing the time and place at which the 15th sitting of the second session of the 4th House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands shall be held. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Leader of Government Business for laying his documents on the table. I call upon the clerk.
After the second before, no? Second.
I rise to second the motion, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, let's- Honorable Premier, I was advised that when we were not hearing you, that you were moving a motion. Is that the case?
We're going to forego that since you're going to do it under public business in terms of the speaking. So that's withdrawn, that's all.
So no motion?
No, that's why I didn't continue.
Okay. Okay, not a problem. We now move to item number 5. I call upon the clerk.
Item number 5, public business. 1, government business. 2, private members' business.
Okay, this is the time when the honorable members in the chambers get to speak. What I will suggest is that at least the last 3 speakers will be the opposition leader, the Attorney General, then the Premier. I call again upon the clerk.
Item number 6, other business.
As I was saying earlier, on the other businesses where the honorable members will speak freely, within the rules, of course, and I'm assigning no time limits to members. My only suggestion is that the last 3 speakers be the Leader of the Opposition, the Attorney General, and then the Premier. Honorable members, the floor is now open.
Your house. But, Mr. Speaker, I believe members would join me by asking for a time limit, given that we have a gallery that has to go to work. And, Mr. Speaker, you know that you don't put a mic in front of a pastor and a politician. It would go a little long. So I crave members' indulgence for us to agree on a time frame. I would say no more than 15 minutes per person. Mr. Speaker, I crave the indulgence of the House, Mr. Speaker, given that we have so many people in the gallery and most of them, as far as I can see, are women, and you don't want to get women in the country angry with you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
With these things, I'm usually guided by the members. So if it's the wish of members in the well of the chambers to impose a 15 to 20 minutes time limit, I am so guided. 15. So I am told that we will have a 15 time limit agreed to by members, the Leader of the Opposition, and the Premier. 15 minutes per speaker.
Much, Mr. Speaker, for this privilege on this very special, or I may quote from one of our former chief ministers and one of his favorite terms, on this auspicious occasion, for me to make a few comments. I appreciate the privilege, Mr. Speaker. Certainly a very special day, and I would perhaps go back as far as 1789, when William Blake wrote the poem, "My mother groaned, my father wept. Into this dangerous world I leapt. Helpless, naked, piping loud, like a fiend hid in a cloud. Striving in my father's hands, striving against my swaddling bands. Bound and weary, I thought best to sulk upon my mother's breast." Mr. Speaker, I'm perhaps taking our Honorable Attorney General back to her birth. But I wanted to do that especially knowing her family, in that this poem perhaps speaks well of her and her family, who many years ago, not so many, gave birth to Miss Dawn Smith. Forget that middle name now, but I just heard it for the first time this morning. But they gave birth to Dawn Smith and would never, in their wildest dreams, would have thought that today, on the 1st of October, in the year of our Lord 2020, would be representing her country as the Honorable Attorney General in a very vital role in the execution of very important institutions of the Virgin Islands, the institution of the House of Assembly, the highest institution in the territory. And she, Mr. Speaker, today is sworn in to give important advice legally to the executive of this territory and to the House of Assembly. So I want to thank our parents, first of all, for their pain and suffering in bringing her into this world. As the poem said, into this dangerous world, and allowing and bringing her up, educating her, and allowing her to be here to serve her country. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, also spoke about what I think epitomizes Honorable Dawn Smith today, when he wrote that the height of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards in the night. And I'm sure those words will resonate with our new Honorable Attorney General when she thinks back of the time she has spent and days and nights working to achieve what she's achieved today, working to become an attorney, working to give advice in many areas of public service before today, and not just to become an attorney, but today, Mr. Speaker, she is the General of all attorneys, the Attorney General. So I am nostalgic about that. I can't be absent, Mr. Speaker, without mentioning, and my wife, Judith Vanderpool, keeps reminding me, she's in the gallery today, that is my student. That's exactly how she says it. Not just now, but always, whenever Dawn's name is mentioned. And I know they have their little chit-chats behind my back. And I admire her, and I'm glad that Mrs. Vanderpool could be a part of her becoming what she is and having encouraged her to toil upwards through the night. So congratulations, and may God's richest blessings be on you and your service to this country. Mr. Speaker, that's in the personal and specific context of this appointment today. But there's a broader context that we must pay attention to. Virgin Islanders, British Virgin Islanders have achieved the heights in many areas. Law is without exception. It was many years ago, I wouldn't say too many because I don't want to give any aspersions as to age, but years ago we were pleased to have another local Attorney General in the person of Mrs. Dancia Penn Salah, QC, who served this territory well for, I believe, 7 years. And showed that we have the quality and the persons who can fill such a position and execute that position with high honor, as Mrs. Dancia Penn Salah did in her time. She was able to advise the government over those 7 years and guide the House of Assembly over those 7 years. And although she eventually served in the House of Assembly and served as Deputy Premier, or Deputy Chief Minister of this country, Deputy Premier, I would suggest distinctly that her legacy would be left as the first local Attorney General of the Virgin Islands, having given such important advice at some turbulent times when the territory of the Virgin Islands was growing to take charge of its own affairs. And in many cases, she was able to advise and direct the government and the House of Assembly in passing bills and legislation that will serve this territory for a very, very long time. So we thank her for her service to the territory of the Virgin Islands. I quipped a little bit at her this morning in recalling, and I very distinctly recall it, in 1995. It was 2 days after the elections. The day after the elections, it could have been a day after, I don't remember a day or two, but I think it was the day after the elections. There was not a majority on either side that won the election. And there was a big effort on the day after the election to form some level of a coalition. There were two efforts, one on one side, one on the other side. However, probably around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, one side failed to form the coalition, and the other side was able to have one member join who was independent and form the coalition to have the government run this country under the leadership at the time of the great Honorable late H. Lavity Stout. Somewhere along the lines of a bunch of us were in the mix somewhere. And we realized that once the coalition was formed and all members had signed the agreement to form the government, we couldn't find the governor at the time. The air was filled with anticipation, hoping that by the time we find the government will still be formed. Well, it was by whatever, I don't know whether a stroke of luck or by her paying attention, we found the Attorney General, who is the one who would have to draw up the papers to swear in the government. And I don't know how she found the governor, but I understand he was somewhere practicing to fly. But by evening or afternoon, we were able to have the government formed with the help of the Attorney General, who had her papers all ready and drawn up to be signed by the governor. And so I never forget her that time. They hustled her from wherever she was, and she got everything ready. These are times that people take for granted, but they were important times because there was a bit of instability for those days, those couple of days that persons were concerned about in the territory. But, Mr. Speaker, it brings to our attention, and we spoke about it the other day when we had our discussions on the Constitution, where Section 58 clearly says that the Attorney General is a constitutional appointment. And it speaks to it in Section 58, and then it goes on to Section 95 to speak as to how the appointment is made and so on, which is, it falls under the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, which falls under the governor. And I wouldn't go through the whole section, but it does show that the Judicial and Legal Services Commission makes the appointment after recommendations by various sectors, and at the end of the day, also with some input from the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition. So we are happy today that that commission, the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, saw it fit to appoint one of our own, Ms. Dawn Smith, and we want to encourage all of us to continue to seek to do our best so that we can continue to build our institutions here in the Virgin Islands with our own people as much as possible. While it doesn't give us independence from other persons wherever who may be able to help us to move along and grow, it does speak to the fact that we do have ambition and we can fulfill those roles as much as possible, and the more and more this we would like to see happen. And in the context of us getting ready to review our Constitution, we hope that we can look and see how these things are done, how we have the persons in charge who can look after these things. I understand we're having a governor who will be appointed in January, coming this year, or February, who is presently governor of Bermuda, where their constitution has been upgraded, where the public service is, I believe, under a different regime, and all these kinds of appointments and these subjects, we hope, can be changed in a way that eventually we can have a better grasp on how we manage our affairs here in the territory. So, Mr. Speaker, just in case you're watching your clock, I didn't keep a close eye on mine, but I want to express my exuberance on this day in congratulating Ms. Dawn Smith on her appointment, and look forward to working with her in this House of Assembly this term. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the member for the 4th District for his contribution. In terms of the list, I'm going to have the member from the 6th, followed by the Minister for Health. Therefore, at this time, I recognize the Honorable Alvaro Maduro Kane, member for the 6th District.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I too rise on this momentous and historical occasion when we swear in Ms. Dawn Smith as Attorney General of the Virgin Islands. But before I get to Dawn, it will be remiss of me not to also thank Baba Aziz for his years of service to this territory. We are truly grateful. Today, I am a proud woman. I am proud as a female member of this honorable house, and I am a proud Virgin Islander. October 1, 2020 is a red letter day in this territory, when we can swear in for only the second time in history one of our own, our very own, as Attorney General. I pause to echo one line of our territorial song, which are, "Oh, how radiant our daughters. Dawn is a radiant daughter of the soil. She shines a very brilliant light on her noble profession. She is a member of a fine cadre of women whose life has been offered to serve this country and who understands service above self. I have no doubt that she will do a remarkable job and will be the ultimate professional in the carrying out of her duties as Attorney General. She has the intellect, the work ethics, and the experience. She has served this territory and has worked in the private sector, the public sector, in numerous capacities. Over the years, including serving as General Counsel to the Financial Service Commission, she is also a member of the BVI Bar Association and currently serves as chairperson of the BVI chapter of the Caribbean branch of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators. She has now elevated to the Chief Legal Advisor of the Government of the Virgin Islands and a member of this honorable house. Dawn, I salute you. I am proud of you. I support you and I applaud you. And may the God that I serve grant you wisdom that you may need in your waking moments as you serve this territory, and the peace you need in your replenishing moments on this next journey of your life. Congratulations and God's continuous guidance upon your steps. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the member for the 6th District for her contribution. At this time, I invite the Minister for Health and Social Development and Territorial Member, the Honorable Corvin Malone.
I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for affording me the opportunity to make my contribution at this time. Two very important reasons for that. Number one, I somehow felt I was going to follow the honorable member from the 6th District, and hence my time could be enhanced based on her short presentation. Effective, but I think it's timely that I addressed it at this time. I have this as a proud moment because it was just 24 hours ago that we paid tribute, farewell tribute, to the 26th appointed Attorney General. But in searching the records again, he was indeed the 25th because he had two terms, 2010 to 2011. So I will pay special welcome to my cousin, Dawn Smith, who hails from the East, as I do, and to her parents, and other family members who must be here. So this is indeed a family gathering, and family members should not be too far down the list. So I thought it fitting to follow at this time. It is special for me in that the 18th selection appointment to Attorney General was that of my other cousin, Dancia Pensala, who hails here. And I oft tell her that she holds a special place because it is my view that Virgin Islanders should take on the rightful roles in each of these positions. We cannot complain about how the duties of any of the offices are if we do not afford ourselves and lend ourselves the opportunity to serve. Some look at it and, folks come from different particular perspective as to the time of service that they would have. Dawn, of course, joined another Virgin Islander, Tiffany Scatliff. I'm not sure how we pronounce her last name. Is it Esprit? Yes, she is. I would not forget that again. But I give honor to her also, because it is important that we do this. It's important that we afford ourselves the opportunity to do this, because if we're going to have the spirit of nation building, it begins by affording ourselves the chance to serve in this capacity. You have the Deputy Governor, David Archer, and of course, we have other nationals who served in that capacity before, but I think that it is important that we fill all of these posts, and we do not get them just by virtue of being born in the Virgin Islands. Each of these selections is based on merit, based on the professional preparedness and affording themselves the opportunity to be in this position. I am aware that there is indeed, this is quite a time, but each of us are born for a specific time, and there's no time like this that Honorable Attorney General Dawn Smith, she is positioned, she is capable, she's able, and she would have a lot of work. A lot of work. But she can do this. Mr. Speaker, I hold myself as being available to afford any assistance, any help, any guidance. Not that she will need any legal advice from me, but the outgoing or the last Attorney General, he could well have been termed the Honorable Attorney General for Health and Social Development. But I know that, I understand that in the office, in his heydays, it was up to 14 lawyers, now it's down to 8. We will be advocating for that, because the outgoing Attorney General said we must be able to raise the number so that we can get all of the legislations and the other duties that the Attorney General is called upon to do. We would hear a lot from other members as it relates to, what duties and what tasks and what's the expectation of the Attorney General, not only as it's laid out in the Constitution, but also in terms of nation building, in terms of making sure that the duties, the tasks, the opportunities that it would have, so that other Virgin Islanders who specifically are reading law, the Virgin Islanders in the other areas, as health and social development. We have just accredited the hospital services, the health services authority. We have all of these institutions being led right now by our very own. We have to continue this path, and we have to make sure that you uphold the office of Attorney General in a way in which we can all be proud. So my wife Prentice, on behalf of my wife Prentice, my daughter, and the entire family, and I think that, she will speak for her parents. I am always proud of Lion Bennett and my cousin Gina, in all of that we have to do. And we'll be here for you. We'll be here with you. We left at 2:30 the other morning. We'll be here with you. So I'd like to thank you very much for taking on the task, taking on the role, taking on the opportunities, and wish you the best in your office. You have an excellent staff to work with. I am first-hand knowledge of that, and I think that it can only grow from strength to strength. And I take this opportunity once again to thank the outgoing Attorney General, Honorable Babar Aziz, as he now can take a little rest, because he had quite a task in the past month or 6 months as we had it. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I yield back the rest of my time.
I thank the territorial member for his contribution. At this time, I recognize the Minister for Transportation, Works and Utilities, and member for the 5th District, the Honorable Kai M. Reimer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the additional time from the Minister for Social Development here. And Mr. Speaker, as I rise on this special day, I must first acknowledge the parents of the Honorable AG, because without the parents, she would not have been here today. And I think you said it was okay for us to clap. And Mr. Speaker, I think they deserve a round of applause for the work that they have done in raising their family and now their Honorable AG. So I just want to say, you did a great job in bringing the Honorable AG to this point. And Mr. Speaker, it started, I know I came in high school a little bit after, but when she graduated in 1988 from high school, as she is a product of her high school, and I did a little research, so make sure that I'm saying the right dates there. But when she graduated in 1988, she was a valedictorian. And you could see from the trend there that she was aspiring to be aspiring for, you know, we say we reach for the skies. And Mr. Speaker, that is where she's at today. But she was always an outstanding student. As, you know, she took up law and she went to school in Jamaica. She was also an outstanding graduate there. And, you know, she continued on. When she came home, she worked in the private sector. And she moved on to, I think she went to the London office sometime after that and contributed to this territory as she went through the scholarship program, as far as I understand. So the Honorable AG, she served in many capacities. I think as recently she served as the PS in the Premier's office as well. So she is well-rounded in the private sector, the public sector, and she also was worked at the FSC as a counselor. And I'm saying all this because for the short 17 or 19 months that I've been here, I see the work that is done by the AG. You have to be versed in laws from 19 when. And I know it's a hard job, but I know that you are prepared for it. And Mr. Speaker, as I heard the member for the six mention, it's a proud moment for her as a woman being the second AG. I too want to acknowledge the first local AG. Well, Mr. Speaker, this is also a proud moment for me too as a father of 2 daughters. Because now there's an example where they can look at it and say that, you know, I can be that. My older daughter, she's now studying political science. So she's at home and she's drilling me. Lots of questions, the courses, and, you know, it's all relative. And I enjoy assisting her as she go through this stage where she's pursuing her college degree in political science. But if she know what I know, I think she should reconsider, especially during these times. Well, Mr. Speaker, I know that the position of the AG is quite fitting for you, and you are quite organized. And you're ready for this position. You know, you have the knowledge and the experience. And Mr. Speaker, what is also proud for me too, as I read the Constitution, you know, I went through and I study it quite often because I was told that this is like the Bible, so you need to know each and every aspect of it. And it's also a proud moment because when the Constitution was changed and passed in 2007, it clearly stated in 95.5 that no person shall be appointed to the office of Attorney General unless he or she is qualified to be admitted in the Virgin Islands as a legal practitioner and has also had at least 10 years practical experience as a legal practitioner. And Section 6 says, no person shall be appointed to the office of Attorney General unless he or she belongs to the Virgin Islands, unless in the opinion of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, there is no such person who is suitably qualified and able and willing to be appointed. And Mr. Speaker, this speaks to the AG, or newly appointed AG. She is qualified, she's a BVI Islander, and Mr. Speaker, we should all be proud of this moment. And Mr. Speaker, I know we are timed, and I see my honorable colleague has his phone with the timer on there. I just, again want to thank God for this opportunity to be here, to serve with you. We will be here to support you, and I know you will be resolute in your dealings and in your advice that you'll give to this government. And I look forward to working with you. And on behalf of my wife, who is here present, and my family, I congratulate you on this honor. I say thank you.
I thank the member for the 5th District. The floor remains open for contributions. I recognize the member for the 2nd District, the Honorable Melvin M. Turnbull.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say a pleasant good morning to everyone in this house and in the gallery for this special occasion that we are here. And I want to, first of all, start by congratulating and recognizing the newly appointed Attorney General, Honorable Don J. Smith. Now, if you ever hear me call you Honorable and your middle name, you know I like to pick on middle names. But Mr. Speaker, it is indeed a historic moment in the Virgin Islands yet again that we are showing and continuing in this vein, building on the vision that was cast. When you think back to whom is celebrated as the greatest leader that we ever had in this territory, you would often hear persons, and the majority of people that you speak to, refer to the late Honorable Davity Stoutt as a visionary leader. And Mr. Speaker, I start there because I think it is important that it sets the backdrop for where we are here today. That a vision was cast against the odds. He went against the grain, he went against the naysayers, and had the belief and made the decisions to invest and create an environment where the people of the Virgin Islands, one, could be educated, two, should be pushed towards higher education, and then three, he went to the step further, ensuring that when they were educated, there was a place here in this territory that they could return and build. And Mr. Speaker, this just speaks to the realization of a vision, a realization of a dream, because if we're going to dream dreams and cast visions, Mr. Speaker, sometimes we may not be around to realize them. But legacy is built based on you understanding that you have to do what you have to do in the time that you're given. And the vision that's cast, the dreams that are birthed, are more than often much bigger than us and seldom have to do anything with us. So, Mr. Speaker, I am here to stand on behalf of the people of the 2nd District, my wife who couldn't be here, and my family, to congratulate the Honorable Attorney General Don J. Smith, who not just looks like us, who not just is a woman, but if you'll excuse my language, Mr. Speaker, I'm going in my dialect, she is one of we. And Mr. Speaker, I have known, and after being elected in 2015, I have known of Dawn, and after being elected, I got the opportunity to work with her. And one of the things I must say, it is not so much of a difficulty that she would have, because she is a person of integrity. I don't believe that she has changed, because she will tell you what a TI is, and she will go based on the principle of the law. So she would fit right in following the former Attorney General Baba Aziz, who served, and I again recognize him for his service. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am expecting and anticipating that you, Ms. Smith, will take this role and shine and be an example and continue to build on the shoulders of the giants that have came before and trod a path that will be set to continue to move this country, to continue to move our territory to the cutting edge, and especially the legislative arm of government, and as well as the executive, to the next light, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to, if I am permitted, just to read something that, another thing that is becoming my life's mantra. It says this: if you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it, and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, if you simply go after that thing that you want with all your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famine, nor gout, sickness, nor pain of body and brain can keep you away from that thing that you ever wanted, if dodge you grim it and beseech and beset it, with the help of God, you will get it. That's a quote from Les Brown, and I know, Honorable Attorney General, you have been destined for success, and success is in your hands. And I stand in support together with the rest of the members, and I know your family is here, I recognize them as well, to do the job that you will do in excellence, to serve the people of the Virgin Islands and make us continually proud. So, Mr. Speaker, again, I thank you.
I thank the member for the 2nd District for his contribution. I now recognize the Deputy Speaker and Territorial Member, the Honorable Neville A. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm full of emotion, full of joy. And the thing about it, she's right in front of me. Mr. Speaker, this is personal, it's home. Like I say, it's emotional. The last time I felt this was when I was going to run for politics and I was in Easton, and Dean Foy went to speak. And I cried. I ain't gonna cry today. Sure. But I cried. And I cried because when you look at where we came from, Mr. Speaker, and where we are today, and what it takes for us to get there, we stand on a lot of people's shoulders, great ones, who keep us up, Mr. Speaker. Dawn is one of them. Today is dawn of a new day. That's what today is, dawn of a new day. Is what we is today. Mr. Speaker, you see, when you give people hope, when you give people a chance, when you believe in your own, when you empower your own, when you love your own, Mr. Speaker, that's what we have today. We have a piece of the BVI here, Mr. Speaker. We have our own. We have our love, our feelings, everything is here today. And when I look at Dawn, that's what I see. Mr. Speaker, Dawn grew up a couple footsteps away from me. Her parents in Easton, it's like it takes a village to raise a child. So Dawn's parents were like, well, my parents, and my parents were like her parents. And we are family. Like I say, Smith, right in front of each other. I got your back. I'm literally behind your back, and I have your back. Mr. Speaker, you see, there's a saying in which one of my daughters said, if you don't know where you're from, you don't know where you're going. We know where we're going now. We empower our own, and that's what we need to continue doing, and giving the young people of the Virgin Islands hope. I have a daughter who studied law, and I can sit down here today and say, maybe one day she'll be the AG also. And that's what we're doing today. We're giving our people hope. Every position that we have here that's a powerful position, we should be owned by locals. It's not taking away none from no one. But you have to build your own, Mr. Speaker. Your own will give you back something that you know you have something to lose because it's yours, a piece of the rock. I know right now that Mr. Smith is proud. I'm going to ask him to stand. I'm going to ask the parents to stand. It's unusual I ask you to stand. She's looking around, they're looking around, but I actually have to stand. Now you're giving it a hand. Don't sit yet. Don't sit yet. I can remember Mr. Smith taking out a boat. I think he used to carry a boat on his shoulder, up on his back, he kneeled, carried down to Josiah's Bay. That's a family man, family values. And don't talk about Gina. Lord, I can't say nothing much because she licked me to give her a chance. I can remember when I get my first son, she schooled me. But you see, we have to realize with parents are going to give you a lot. They're going to push you, they're going to carry you the right way. But you, the child, have to finish that race. But it's what they instill in you is what you're going to instill in your own. And the values that you get from your parents is the value you're going to bring here today. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you. I'm mostly one of the short speakers, but I don't know how to sit today. I don't know if it's short. I think 15 minutes is going to run with me here. This is one of us. This is one of me. But I'm going to respect the time. But Dawn, there's a lot of work to be done, and I know you built for it. And there's a lot of things that we need to do with the laws here in the BVI, because the laws are old and they need to be reviewed. I challenge you, because I'm going to be on your case with it also, because I used to speak to the AG before about looking at some of the laws and amending some of the laws, because the laws are made to be broken, they say, right? That's some people say. But to me, once you put the laws and the laws change with times, it will work. You can't have a law that was passed in 1720 and expect it to happen in 2020. So we need to review the laws, and I challenge you with that. I know you have a handful, but I know you built for it. Mr. Speaker, with that, I'd like to say thank you and welcome to supporting the BVI because I know you'll do a great job. Thank you.
I thank the Deputy Speaker for his contributions. I recognize the Minister for Natural Resources, Labor and Immigration, and member for the 9th District, the Honorable Vincent O. Whitley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too rise to support the appointment of Honorable Don J. Smith. Mr. Speaker, I feel like I'm intervening here in a little family affair. Everyone seems to be related to Don, so I'm going to claim her today as some kind of family. Mr. Speaker, I don't recall when I first met Dawn at all, but I do recall that the first time I met her, she appeared like an old-time friend for a very real reason. I served on many committees, and so did Dawn, during my course in the public service. And I think we were served on some committee and I asked her who she was, because I didn't know her, hadn't met her before. And I got to find out then she was the granddaughter of the legendary Mr. Haldane Davies, Sr. And that was it. You see, Mr. Speaker, I grew up in a small, little two-room house in the valley, little blue house. And explains why I'm the last child, because there was only 2 rooms in a house. We lived in a 1-bedroom. My father lived in the kitchen, a 2-room house. But Mr. Haldane was a good friend of my Aunt Grace, blessed memory. They were both Seventh-day Adventists, and when he found out where we were living, he said, I have a little bigger place for you. So he became our landlord, Mr. Davies, a long time ago, a little child then. And when he would be in his yard building his boats, he was an expert carpenter and boat builder. When he would be building the boats in the yard, I would sit there and we would chat. When he put in the oakum between the scenes and that pitch to make it watertight, I was there with him. So I knew her pedigree, I knew where she came from. So we became instant friends. Today I'm so proud and happy to see where she's arisen to, where she sits today as the Honorable Attorney General. But Mr. Speaker, it fits in very, very well with this government mandate of localizing our workforce, giving locals every opportunity to serve at every level in every industry, at all levels. That's our mandate. And as a government, we're not only talking the talk. This here today, we are demonstrating that we are serious about it. It's the highest level for law in the government. Legal counsel to the government of this country. That's a lot of heavy responsibility. So I urge all the private businesses out there to follow our example. We are leading by example. Find capable locals, because the Constitution says the person must be capable. She is. And Section 58 said there must be an Attorney General. And in 95(6) says they must be a belonger. It's in the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, it was not put there by accident. That was done in 2007 Constitutional Review. That was fought hard for, to make sure that we're putting our locals, positioning our locals to take part meaningfully in our economy. Mr. Speaker, we must go beyond just trying to find a local to fit in a spot, because I've seen too many instances, Mr. Speaker, where people did hire locals, but kind of set them up to fail. We must make sure when you hire locals, we also provide the needed support to make sure they are successful. And that we will do, Mr. Speaker. The outgoing Attorney General said when he came to his office, there were 15 legal counsels, now there are probably 10. We have to fix that, Mr. Speaker. We can't put people in places because they're local and walk away. We must first make sure that they're capable. Dawn has worked all over. I remember when I went to visit UK, my kids went to school there. I always made sure when she ran the London house, I pop in and see how she was doing. She did a marvelous job there in London, fantastic job. And she supported the UK students who was there very, very well also. I remember one time I went to London to visit my kids, and I called Dawn, and she was so upset. I'm like, Dawn, why are you upset? He said, imagine you are here, the AG is here, and there was somebody else there, and no one told me. And how it was a squandered opportunity. She said, I could have gotten all of you together and make this trip even more meaningful for all of us. There was a passion to make sure we are doing all we could to encourage and support others. So, Mr. Speaker, she's here now, but it's not the end. It's the beginning of her journey. I know she will do well because she has my full support and all the other members' full support. And we're going to make sure that she gets all the support that she needs, Mr. Speaker, that she have a successful journey. This government came in here with a strong legislative agenda, which means her hands are full from day one. A lot of laws to amend, more laws to bring in. So I hope you're taking your vitamins, Honorable Dawn, because you're going to need them. We left the house some morning at 2:30 a.m. We were here from 10 a.m. in the morning one day, and 2:30 the following day. That's the way it's going to be, because we have work to do and limited time. So hands to the plow and forward. Mr. Speaker, the last time we had a local Attorney General was Honorable Dancia Penn, QC, and I'm so glad she's here. 1992, 1997, somewhere thereabouts. Mr. Speaker, I make 20 years since we had a local person as Attorney General. Mr. Speaker, it's not good enough. We have to make sure we have put a more concerted effort making sure this never happens again. These things must be deliberate on our part to make sure we are identifying from now those prospective young lawyers. We have a lot of lawyers, Mr. Speaker. A lot of lawyers in this country here. Local lawyers, a lot of them. You have to make sure that they're following this example here. Though she sits here alone today, Mr. Speaker, she's standing for a lot of people. Locals, belongers, females, you name it. She's standing for them because she represents the epitome of what achievement should be. Very humble beginnings, but she's risen to the top legal advisor to the government. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to make sure that going forward, we have put in a concerted effort to make sure we identify local legal talent. And we nurture them and bring them and support them to make sure that when she moves on, the Honorable Attorney General, to her next appointment, there are at least 4 or 5 replacements ready to step in. Ready. And I know she's going to make sure that she works very closely with her people in there to do that. Now, Mr. Speaker, I must say something because people say I'm often one-sided about localizing the workforce. Yes, I plan to localize the workforce all I can. It's part of our responsibility to make sure our people are placed in positions, all positions in all things, businesses. Mr. Speaker, as much as we're going to stand here and fight for local people, you too have a responsibility to live up to what we are fighting for. Mr. Speaker, sometimes we fight for our people and they turn around and slap us in the face. I'm very sure this won't happen today. This won't happen now with Attorney General here. When we fight for you, you have a responsibility to rise the level of what we are fighting for. So you don't make us look stupid that we're fighting for you, and you turn around and slap us in our face with mediocrity. You show up when you want, you dress how you want, you talk how you want, you do people walk how you want. Just because that cannot work. If you are here fighting to localize the workforce as a local, come up to the plate. Like we say, come up to the lingus. Get on your A game. Because we are here fighting for you to make sure you're given every opportunity and every support to meaningfully participate in our economy. So all locals listening to me out there, beef up, get your act together. It's not a free ride. We're fighting for you, but it's not a free ride. We stand on the shoulders of a lot of people who sacrifice to get us to where we are. We're going to take it to the next level with you. But you got to beef up your game. Don has made a lot of sacrifices, leaving her family to work in the UK. That's no small thing. You must be willing to get international experience, Mr. Speaker. You must be willing to work in other countries to gain experience, exposure, and so forth. So when you come back here to contribute, like all the Attorney General is doing now, you bring substance to the table. Not an attitude of entitlement, but you bring something to the table, more than a bond here, or if I'm here, or I'm a belonger. We want our people with substance. That's why the Minister of Education is giving scholarships. He gave out 32 scholarships for people to go abroad and study and gain experience and then come back. As the Minister for Labor, I will not give up that fight as long as I have that portfolio to make sure, Mr. Speaker, we localize our workforce, all levels, from minor to senior and in between. If you can find a local, hire a local. They don't have the training, give them a training. You need more help, seek more help. First one fail, find another, but keep moving. Keep moving. And all members here will join me that we are localizing the workforce the best we can. We know we need outside help, and we'll bring in outside help as need be, but it will never be the first course of action for me. You must prove, Mr. Speaker, you've searched high and low, and did it again, and again, and are willing to go yet again, going above being a call of duty to make sure you find these locals, you seek out his talents, you nurture and nourish and encourage it. Mr. Speaker, we're going through constitutional reform, and I urge everyone to get your copy of the Constitution, study it well, because that's where our power and our autonomy and independence are going to come through. That piece of legislation, Constitution. Hopefully it'll start soon. We had a little program some weeks ago, putting the Constitution on every single doorstep. We want a Constitution on every iPhone and an app in there. We want a Constitution app that everybody always have a Constitution in their hand. Because that's where our strength is going to come from, apart from God above, through our Constitution. So, Mr. Speaker, today I'm very, very happy and pleased to stand in support of our new local Attorney General, Don J. Smith. I wish you all the very best. Like I said, you have my full support. On behalf of my family, my wife is here in the gallery. We want to wish you well on this journey in this part of your life. Thank you very kindly, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the member for the 9th District for his contribution. At this time, I recognize the Junior Minister for Trade and Economic Development and Territorial Member, the Honorable Shireen D. Flax-Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In one of my other lives, I sing calypso, and I always, Mr. Speaker, through that vein, I always praise women. My first calypso, my very first, was called The Value of a Woman. And the calypso goes, the value of a woman is worth much more than gold. And then I went on, Mr. Speaker, to sing about the strength of a woman. And so, Mr. Speaker, today, I want to say a strong woman looks challenge in the eye and gives it a wink. Today is an auspicious day for the Virgin Islands. I wanted to begin today with a quote because I wanted to emphasize something that is unique and beautiful about the feminine experience. In our individual journeys and singular triumphs, we share a sameness, similarities in life that are the struggles of womanhood. When we encounter narratives of women as old as the tales of the Bible, we feel familiar pricks of a fierce protective love, isolation in a room of men, and a deep-rooted passion to defy limitations. Today for me, Mr. Speaker, I feel a sense of rightness and a calm that our territory, though beset by challenges, is still braving the weather with BV Islanders at the helm. Just this week, Mr. Speaker, I presented our entrepreneurs to this honorable House as poignant examples of how unshaken BVI innovation and resilience can be. But even as our private sector thrives under the brilliance of the minds in our business community, it gives me great pleasure to see this mirrored in the advancement of our public sector. Ms. Smith is a daughter of the soil. We say this all the time, Mr. Speaker, in nearly every formal introduction, whether it is at a funeral, graduation, or on a Facebook page. We tout this revered but still commonplace acknowledgement. But what does it mean, Mr. Speaker? Is it claim to ancestry, to nurture, to origin? Mr. Speaker, as a gardener with a proud amount of experience, doubled over blooming ornamentals and growing trees, I think I can offer a bit of perspective to this phrase. In the ground, there is a certain richness, a substance on which plants find nourishment and from which their growth is derived. Ms. Smith has found strength in her history, from the rebellious slaves to our proud forefathers that marched for Wickham's Key. As a Virgin Islander, her past is enriched by the experiences that have shaped us all, especially those of us on the journey of the woman. Ms. Smith, to you I want to give 3 challenges that I not so long ago gave to a tenacious group of young women. Always graceful, always learning, always compassionate. This advice I gave to young ladies much younger and less experienced than you. But on the journey of life, some lessons can be revisited and relearned. You will make us proud. As Attorney General, you have the distinct opportunity to spearhead our fair governance in line with the laws of this land. You serve from today onwards as its interpreter, orator, and guide. To our people, you must pledge a right of impartiality. To its administrators, you must pledge a right of blind justice. And to our future, you must call yourself maiden and servant. As we are assailed by challenges of independence and threats to our autonomy, I end today knowing that these islands we call home will prevail. I am proud to serve as a woman beside my sisters, and I will fight to see that even more of us fill the ranks of seniority and leadership. It is the passion, fierceness, and unstoppable force of women that will take the Virgin Islands to the next level. Ms. Smith, congratulations on behalf of myself, my husband who is in the gallery, and my entire family. Best wishes, and let's get to work.
I thank the territorial member for her contribution. At this time, I recognize the Deputy Premier and Minister for Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries, and Agriculture, and member for the 7th District, Dr. the Honorable Natalia D. Whitley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to debate or to give remarks on this indeed auspicious occasion, an event that certainly portends success for the people of the Virgin Islands. I was actually waiting, Mr. Speaker, until the Honorable Representative for the 3rd District spoke, because on occasions such as these, I usually seek to defer to my elders, and I was grateful when the member for the 4th District got up and spoke. And something about these old veterans, Mr. Speaker, they know how to push up the time limit. They'll edge it up, and we had some of the other younger members like myself spoke and keep edging it down. So I was waiting for Honorable Fraser to edge it up a little bit, but he's still ruminating. Mr. Speaker, I don't have often cause to correct you, but I have to correct you this morning. You said 6 of us in this House of Assembly are related, and I have to correct you to say that, Mr. Speaker, I must set a record in the House of Assembly and any legislative council for being related to persons in the House. I'm related now with the appointment of my cousin Don Smith to 8 members in this House of Assembly. And I can name them: Honorable Alvaro Maduro Keynes, that's a connection through Miss Drina; Honorable Shari De Castro; Honorable Neville Smith; Honorable Calvin Malone; Honorable Vincent Wheatley; and now Honorable Don Smith. And we have also Honorable Marlon Penn, and Honorable Mark Vanterpool feels like my family because I spent so much time in his house along with Sister Judith. I ate a lot of their food growing up. And Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of my cousin, and I'm proud to be a Virgin Islander. Before I proceed any further, Mr. Speaker, I want to recognize all the distinguished persons in the gallery from the 3 branches of government. And I certainly want to give special recognition to Mr. Lewis Hunt, who's sitting there in the gallery, who served as Attorney General between 1982 and 1985, historically ushering in our International Business Companies Act. And of course, I have to recognize Dancia Pensala QC, another cousin of mine and cousin to Don. Sister Dancia and Sister Gina are first cousins, and certainly is really a true example for Sister Don now to look to, being a local Attorney General. And I have to pay tribute really to my great-great-grandparents. That's Thomas Pickering and Henrietta Rosetta Garden, who have produced countless members of, well, we can actually count them, but members of the legislative councils. Thomas Pickering and Henrietta Rosetta Gordon had 2 daughters, one by the name of Clarita Pickering Malone, and also Alphagina Pickering Davies. And they produced Chief Minister, who was Dr. Orlando Smith, produced Deputy Premier, which is Dancia Pensala QC, produced a leader of the opposition, Honorable Marlon Penn, produced ministers, Honorable Calvin Malone. We have Honorable Vernon Malone, and I know there are others. And of course, Attorney Generals, and now with Sister Don, Attorney General Honorable Don Smith. And that is something that we can be proud of as Virgin Islanders. And others have made reference to Section 95, subsection 6 of the Constitution, which says, and I'll read it yet again, no person shall be appointed to the office of the Attorney General unless he or she belongs to the Virgin Islands, unless, in the opinion of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, there is no such person who is suitably qualified and able and willing to be so appointed. Mr. Speaker, I must say that we have had a number of persons in the Virgin Islands who have been qualified. I'm not quite sure why we have only had Sister Dancia Penn and now Sister Dawn Smith as Attorney Generals. But I appreciate our now Honorable Attorney General taking up the challenge and taking up the task, because I know the job comes with a lot of sacrifice. I know there may be even more lucrative opportunities out there in the community. But of course, I know it must come from a great sense of duty and a great sense of commitment to the people of the Virgin Islands. And we must not take a step back, Mr. Speaker. We need more sections which have similar language to Section 95(6). And some persons might feel that some of these posts we can't have local persons, because local persons is a small society, we will not be objective. I'm going to speak against that, Mr. Speaker, because that's not how our ancestors raised us. We often tell the story that if you get in trouble in school and the teacher or the headmaster tells your parents about it, you're going to get a next beating. And the reason for that, Mr. Speaker, is we have been taught to hold ourselves to a higher standard than others hold for us. We have to hold ourselves as a group of individuals, as a rising nation, Mr. Speaker. And I use that word nation consciously. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And that is why we cannot be afraid of placing our people in key positions and taking up more responsibility, Mr. Speaker. We have to trust ourselves. We have to trust our bratopsy. Because, of course, this is what our ancestors have been working for so long. My grandfather, the late, great Willard Wheatley, when he was headmaster and when he had other pupils under him who would go on to become headmasters, people like Obed Malone and Quincy Lettsome and all of the other persons, they have been working all of this time, not for us to sit on the sidelines. That is not the reason they have been putting in all of this work. My grandfather used to walk from East End to West End when he was headmaster in West End. He was not doing that so his descendants could sit on the sidelines and watch everything happening and just be an object of history rather than a subject of history. So today is a very special day. Sister Dawn Smith, Honorable Attorney General, we know that you are, as Honorable Smith said, we know that you're built for it. We are built for it, and you're from the East, which means you're extra built for it. I see that leader of the opposition likes that. Yes. It's going to be hard work, yes. But Virgin Islanders have never run away from hard work. As has been said before, we have been in here just 2 nights ago till 2:30 in the morning. And since we've introduced WebEx and Zoom, it seems as though we have many of these types of meetings in Cabinet going way into the night. So certainly it is a lot of work, and we are at a very crucial stage of our development here in the Virgin Islands. Some persons want to roll back the clock on us, but we're going to march forward. And our financial services, of course, we have challenges there. We have challenges in tourism, and upgrading our legal framework, introducing new pieces of legislation will be key for us to make it through this period. And of course, the Minister of Health already spoke about the importance of the legislative work we've been doing to this pandemic that we're trying to make it through right now. So the position is an absolutely crucial position. It's a key position, and I really wish you well in the post. I pledge to work with you as a member of the House of Assembly and as a member of Cabinet to really establish a firm legal grounding so that our people can march forward into our destiny, and that we might nurture coming generations and give them the type of level of prosperity and quality of community that we have grown accustomed to here. So with those few words, Mr. Speaker, I proudly, certainly congratulate my cousin, Honorable Attorney General Dawn Smith, and I wish her every success. Thank you.
I thank the member for the 7th District. At this time, I recognize the Junior Minister for Tourism and Territorial Member, the Honorable Sherry B. DeCastro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and I ask your kind permission to refer to my notes. Mr. Speaker, in a time when most developed economies and territories are still debating the issue of equality, more specifically, even equal pay for equal work and the advancement of women in senior positions, the BVI is definitely proof of this ideal being indeed possible. Mr. Speaker, this is because in this territory, we have had no reservations in promoting qualified women to positions of power. Mr. Speaker, today is one of those moments when I beam with true Virgin Islands pride, as I express how proud I am not only of this territory, but of our people as well. Mr. Speaker, today is a day that we celebrate the achievement and the advancement of formidable women to positions of power in this territory. In the House of Assembly alone, we have 4 homegrown women, 3 elected and 1 appointed, who have and will continue to confidently and effectively contribute to the development of the Virgin Islands. Mr. Speaker, as you have stated, I too look forward to the formation of the Women's Caucus. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sometimes we get the privilege and the honor of speaking persons' names. And I want to, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, speak the names of the formidable women who have sat in this honorable house. Mr. Speaker, the late Miss Etlyn Smith and Mrs. Eileen Parsons, OBE, who were the first women elected to the then Legislative Council in 1995. Mrs. Irene Penn O'Neill, Mrs. Dancia Penn Sala QC OBE, the late Mrs. Dolores Christopher, Honorable Alva Maduro Keynes, Honorable Shireen Flax Charles, and myself as elected members, as well as speakers, Mrs. Ines Archibald and Mrs. Ingrid Moses Scatliff. Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the Office of the Attorney General, I am proud to say that it is not only, as stated before, the second BVI Islander to have been appointed to such post, but of great significance also, as stated, is that it is indeed the second female BVI Islander appointed to serve this territory in such a crucial role as Attorney General. As Mrs. Densia Penn Sala QC, who is here with us today, served from 1992 to 1999, and now some 21 years later, we see the appointment of BV Islander, Honorable Dawn Smith, to the post of Attorney General. Today I am elated as a female representative and a Virgin Islander to see Honorable Smith sit before me in this House of Assembly. Mr. Speaker, even in this moment, I am humbled to just consider the confidence, the competence, and the foresight of our people on full display here today, because I say this to bring attention to the fact that it was Virgin Islanders who looked ahead and through a constitutional amendment anticipated that the evolution and qualification of our people would reach such a height that we would be able to meet the requirements, but not only meet them, but be duly appointed to such senior posts. Mr. Speaker, as stated before, numerous times, I still find it fit to reflect on Section 95, subsection 6 of our Constitution Order of 2007, and I will read it again because of the prominence and importance of that section. No person shall be appointed to the office of Attorney General unless he or she belongs to the Virgin Islands, unless in the opinion of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, there is no person who is suitably qualified and able and willing to be appointed. Mr. Speaker, no doubt our newly appointed AG, Honorable Dawn Smith, is very much suitable, qualified, and now appointed to the post of Attorney General. In this light, of course, as we consider the recent move towards a constitutional review, I believe it is a fundamental component to continue to assess and consider and ensure that our people are at the center of our development and our strategic plans so that Virgin Islanders are not left behind, even as we seek to move this territory forward. Therefore, the upcoming constitutional review is very important, and I look forward to working with you, Honorable AG, as we seek to bring our people to the table and continue to dialogue and speak on ways in which we can continue to move this territory forward. Mr. Speaker, in this House of Assembly, this government has presented a robust legislative agenda, and we continue to, so to speak, burn the midnight oil to ensure that we deliver on the mandate that the people of the Virgin Islands has given us. Honorable AG, I look forward to definitely working overtime with you so that, and all other members, so that we could bring the legislations to fruition, bring amendments, and ensure that we have the legal framework to uplift our people and our territory. Honorable AG, it would be remiss of me not to recognize your parents and family. I want to specifically make mention of your parents. When I see your mom, I see my mom, and definitely when I see your dad, I see my dad. They were classmates from young boys, and I know when you speak to Dad next time, Mr. Smith, you can say, we both have our daughters sitting in the House of Assembly of the Virgin Islands. Truly, I believe, as parents, as Virgin Islanders, that is indeed a humbling thought. And truly, I can state, just like Dawn, that we would not be here today had it not been for the hard work and dedication of our parents, who have sown innumerable seeds, and now today you see the fruits of your labor. And truly, I am indeed blessed to congratulate not only you, but your parents and siblings for your continued development and support to this territory. I am indeed just humbled. I look forward to your commitment and your guidance in this House of Assembly as a young parliamentarian, as a young female parliamentarian. I look forward to traveling with you as we seek to go to the CPA and CWP conference across the region and the world to ensure that territories see the advancement of women in parliamentary roles in the Virgin Islands. And I want to humbly once again state that I am indeed very proud of you, and I look forward to working with you, Honorable Smith. Thank you.
I thank the territorial member for her contribution. At this time, I recognize the representative for the 3rd District and senior member of the House, the Honorable Julian Fraser.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to recognize the distinguished members in the gallery. We have judges, lawyers, past legislators, past attorney generals, family members, the parents of the newly appointed attorney general, and all well-wishers, spouses of legislators. I want to welcome you here today and acknowledge your presence. Newly appointed Attorney General, much is being said about you being the 4th woman in this House of Assembly. But I want to assure you and point out to you that this is an equal opportunity institution. As a matter of fact, it may be too equal when you look at the fact that the most junior person in here, as far as age is concerned, is being paid higher than the oldest person in here. So there's hope. There's hope. You know, when I used to go out campaigning in the early days, you go into Carrot Bay, and one of the older politicians would get up, I'm a Carrot Bayan. You go Bellevue, I'm from Bellevue. You go Long Look, the same thing. This family thing keep running. And you start looking at yourself and you don't have any relatives in these districts. I later found out that it was just a fib they were using to promote themselves. But as I heard from the esteemed Minister for Education from the 7th District, got up and started boasting how he has 8 relatives in this House of Assembly. And the at-large member Smith, he got your back. He's a Smith just like you. He's from East End just like you. He started family this and family that. And I know no doubt that my friend, the leader of the opposition, is going to get up and start saying the same thing. But let me assure you that I'm not going to be left out of this one. Your paternal grandmother is from Seacoast Bay. And if you were trying to forget that, I'm going to remind you of it. So, there we go. Roots are important. And that's why, you know, we cannot overstate a simple fact. That's very important. And the Section 95 of the Constitution, Section 95(6), you've heard it read several times for the day. We could read it and keep reading it. And I'm going to give you something about this Section 96 that others haven't given. It says, no person shall be appointed to the office of Attorney General unless he or she belongs to the Virgin Islands, unless, in the opinion of the Judiciary and Legal Services Commission, there is no such person who is suitably qualified and able and willing to be so appointed. Member for the 7th District, you are so correct. You wondered why is it that we have suitably qualified belongers. Why has no one been so appointed after all these years? I don't know the answer either. But all I can say is that I give credit to those who have come forward. Madam Attorney General, by being appointed Attorney General this morning, you have become my favorite Attorney General of the Virgin Islands. But don't get too carried away with that, because I have a most favorite Attorney General of the Virgin Islands who was appointed back in 1992, Dancia Pensala. And I'll tell you why. Dancia Pensala was my classmate. So good things did come out of that class. I'm
I'm not included. When I say good things with an S, I have people like Lorna Smith. So maybe I'm not part of that S, good things. But I know that good things came out of that class. And then I was there. I don't know if they remember me being in the class. But you would know. There's no litmus test for being the Attorney General. None whatsoever. I've seen 6 Attorney Generals come and go since I'm here. You can be the Attorney General who generate legislation after legislation after legislation. Or you could be that one who we are constantly asking for legislation to come to this house and can't find them. They don't come. They just don't come. But you'll never get fired for that. And you would end serving your term, and you would go down in history as an Attorney General of the Virgin Islands. But I expect that you will be a great Attorney General of the Virgin Islands. It's difficult, but you can do it. I remember you as I first met you in the UK. You performed admirably, without favor, and for that I admired you. I also remember your mom. Your mom's going to call me up one day and tell me she has an application for me. For what? For the UK passport. I said, I don't want it. She said, you're going to get it. And she insisted, and I took it. That's the family that you came out of. That's the family that we expect you to be. We expect you to be that person. Mr. Speaker, I have never seen anything like this before. Every Attorney General that served in this House of Assembly came in midterm, during the course of a session or of a House of Assembly. Never before have we sworn in this fashion an Attorney General. Don't ask me why. I think I know why, but don't ask me why. So consider yourself special. The reason I read that Section 95(6) of the Constitution, even though it was read before, the reason I read it was to make a point. And I don't want this point to be lost on you. I was a member of the Virgin Islands Constitution Review Committee that went to the UK to negotiate this Constitution review that we did in 2007. But I was a member, just a member. The person who should be given credit for that particular clause is right here in this gallery today. That's Dr. D. Orlando Smith, former Chief Minister. And while you're giving a round of applause, give him one too. I mean, we came from different walks of life. We were both Ps. He was an NDP and I was something else. But give credit where it's due. If he didn't want, as a chief minister and leader of that delegation, if he didn't want that particular clause in there, it would never have seen the light of day. And that's foresight. We're talking 2007. We should have had a review in 2017. We didn't. We're going to have, well, I shouldn't say going to, but it's expected that we'll have a review sometime soon. And at that time, you would be the Attorney General of the day. And a lot of the directions in these reviews comes from your brilliance, your ability to advise the government on the advice that they're getting from elsewhere. We have to build on these initiatives. And I listened to the minister responsible for labor talk about our own people. I don't like to refer to us as locals because it has a connotation that, you know, when you talk about a local drink, it doesn't have the effervescence and it doesn't have all the additives that the other drinks have in it. So it can't last, if you bottle it, can't last properly. But we have to build on that. Even our local laws or legislation has to build on language like that in order for us to get our own people. We're not supposed to be apologetic. We're not supposed to be apologetic for promoting our people. That's how we got elected. If we say in our laws that belongers, the position should go to a belonger, that's what we are sent here for. It's belongers who elected us. They expect us to represent them. That's what they expect. So in our legislation, you're going to find you have a huge responsibility in advising the government, the ministers, as to what the legislation should take on. Not just to draft it, but you should have some input. Someone was to say, I heard it a little earlier in somebody's contribution when they said that your mother and father didn't dream that when they gave birth to you that you would be ending up as the Attorney General. That may be true. But I stood here Wednesday morning. Yes, I was here Wednesday morning, even though the Premier was asking that they pan the camera and they didn't see me when they panned the camera, but I was here. I stood here and I heard the Attorney General of the day, Baba Aziz, says, he is a little boy from a village in Ghana and never expected that he would be in a place like this, in a position like this, ever. And there he was. So here you are. And we know that you can do what you have been appointed to do. But you're not just the Attorney General of the Virgin Islands. You're a Virgin Islander who is the Attorney General of the Virgin Islands. And we expect you to advocate for us, our people. Yes, the law is blind, but if you look in any country's law, there are provisions in there to protect certain interests, entities, bodies of people, and what have you. And where our ministers may have turned up lacking, you would point it out to them. I have a simple example. Simple example. We were making a law for the appointment of a commission, a council. And in that council, the question was asked whether or not shouldn't it say that the members of the council should have a certain particular affiliation to the Virgin Islands. And it wasn't seen that way by some, or enough people, in order for that law to reflect that particular provision. I heard the Premier is saying now that that's the direction that he wants to take the country. Building your people. Every country in the world builds their people. If they didn't build their people, how do you think that they got here? Because they were good enough to come here. And it's not because they weren't good enough to be in their country. It's because their country has produced a surplus of them, and they came here. If we do the same here, then all people can be exported, go elsewhere to work, and hold high positions. But it starts with us. Like I said, that provision was placed in there in 2007. When the 2022-21 Constitution review comes about, I expect to see this takes place exponentially. But it's not going to happen unless the legal fraternity advise the legislators in such a direction. I'm hopeful. I'm truly hopeful. I don't mind, and I could say it loud, I could say it now. I don't mind this House being 100% women. Of course, it means that I won't be here, but I'm not going to be here anyway, so I could say. I don't mind. I would love to see women in position, high position. It comes with consequences. And those consequences are not to the institution in which they serve, the consequence is to the individual, because with these positions comes stress, and with stress comes all kinds of things. When the members of this body, august body, will tell you, they said it more than once tonight that they were here till 2:30 Wednesday morning. He says from 10 a.m. to 2:30. I mean, those of us who weren't here at 2:30 in the morning might have been here at 10 a.m., but those who were here at 2:30 in the morning weren't here at 10 a.m. So, you see, I wanted to point out as well, for those people who listen to the rhetoric, the things that they hear, this seat is vacant, this seat is vacant. If you look at any mature legislature, look at the UK Parliament, look at the House of Assembly, the House of Representatives of the United States, you would see a member speaking, and when they pan the camera, the entire gallery, the entire chamber is empty. I've been in the UK and I've seen the session is taking place, and the minister is in her office having meetings with us. But when the bell rings, somebody come and call her. That's the important part. I don't need to be around listening to you gabble. We have work to do. It's not always sitting at this desk that you're doing your work. I was coming upstairs this morning and my friend from the 2nd District told me he's bringing his bag with him. And I'm wondering, well, why are you taking your bag? He said he has work to do. Naturally, he's going to do his work here. While the rest of us are babbling and gabbling, he's doing his work. And these are important things that we have to do. Cooperation is going to be very important for you, madam. Cooperation for among the members of this house. One of the things you're going to have to figure out quick is who do you serve? Do you serve the sitting government or do you serve the House of Assembly, which includes the members of the opposition? If I have to move a motion in this house, should I be struggling to get it drafted or should I come to you to get it drafted? And those are the things that attorney generals have had difficulties trying to figure out. I would not state right now what my position is on the attorney general that sits in this august body house. I wouldn't state it now because I don't want to bore the folks in the gallery. But I know they're not going to leave because they want to hear you speak. And after you finish talking, maybe they will all get up and leave. But one of the things that I cannot understand and can't appreciate, and I still don't appreciate it, is when the Speaker calls on the Attorney General for advice. The Speaker is the Speaker of the House, who should be well versed in the rules of the House. And the only thing that goes on in this House are the rules, are rules-based. He gets advice from the clerk. So every time I have a challenge in this House, or the Speaker wants to sit me down or whatever, he calls on the Attorney General. They go back in the room, and when they come out, I know I can look at the face and I can see what the decision is. It's always against me. That should never be. The Attorney General should not be getting involved in matters relating to the rules of the House. But they call you there, and you will go, and you feel so compromised. But you go. Those are things that I think that I would hope that we can all get together with your wisdom, talk about, and see to them being resolved. Same way that it's being done internationally. We have examples all over the world how a house should run. But your situation is going to be one that is difficult. You're going to have difficulties here, you're going to have difficulties in cabinet, you're going to have difficulties in the National Security Council, and also running your office. As you've heard, Mr. Aziz said when he came into the territory, I guess that's when Dancia Penn left office and Mr. Jallo took over. He met something like, 14 attorneys, and now it's down to 8.
We will advocate for you, with you, to get your chambers well-staffed. And please, remember your people. Build. It's a legacy that we want to build. We're looking at you to do that. We know you can do it. If you just drop your mask so I can see your face, I want to make sure that it's you for a second. Just do this so I can see your face. That's you. It's you. It's you I was talking to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the member for the 3rd District for his contribution. At this time, I recognize the Leader of the Opposition and member for the 8th District, the Honorable Marlon A. Penn.
It's good afternoon now. Pleasant good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity to make my contribution on this very historic and proud moment for me, as not just as a Virgin Islander, but for someone that hails from the Far East, and also as a Chapel Hill man. Me, myself, and Honorable Smith both, that sounds good, eh? Honorable Smith. Honorable Don J. Smith. Both live steps from each other in Chapel Hill, grew up steps from each other in Chapel Hill. Both of them on the main road and I in the back behind the church. But we all lived and grew up as one community, one people. And it's proud for me, and not just myself and Honorable Smith, who hails from that area of our community, but I know, in fact, for all the persons that had a hand in your upbringing, our upbringing, and to see where we are today, it's an extremely proud moment for those individuals. I see it when your announcement was made on social media, how all of the persons who never come out from the woodworks and were so proud of your accomplishment. It speaks volume to what it means to that community and, in fact, the entire territory. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't disappoint a senior member, and I also want to say genetics is a serious thing. And it's interesting that the honorable member for the 7th District, he went where I was going. It says that we're all in sync. The genetics don't lie. But I expected our cousin, who was the historian in the family, to have given that history lesson. I too am proud of our ancestors, Thomas A. Pickering and Henrietta Rosetta Gordon, who, and I'm going to go a little further just briefly, because roots are important. These things are very important to us, and being the second AG to be sworn is important. I often, in this house, try not to make distinctions between Lanark and Eastern for a reason, because there have been, I don't know where it came from, there's been decades of attempts to separate us as two communities, and we're all intertwined, we're all one people. So Thomas Pickering and Henrietta Pickering is descendants of Margaret Nottingham, one of the first 25 free persons in these Virgin Islands. And you see the connection, how far back you go down. And when I reflected on that connection, the deepness of that connection, I looked at this honorable house, and the member for the 7th mentioned it. The connections to persons who have represented that lineage in this honorable house. I counted 9 persons related between Alpha Gina Pickering, Clarita Pickering Malone, Alpha Gina being your great-grandmother, and Clarita being my great-grandmother, and Honorable Natalio and Honorable Malone, and Alvin Pickering. The member didn't name them, but I'll name them. First one is Leslie Malone, former Minister of Government and representative of this House, representative for the 8th, I think it was the 6th at that time, but which was Eastern. Dr. D. Orlando Smith, our former Premier, Minister of Finance, You heard the member for the third mention his contributions to the Constitution and the forward advancement of this country. Dr. Kedrick Pickering, former Deputy Premier and Minister of Natural Resources and Labor. Dr. Natalia Pickering, now current Deputy Premier, Minister of Natural Resources and Labor. Tanseh Pen Salah QC, former Deputy Premier and Minister of Health. Carvin Malone, current Minister of Health. Andre Penn, former representative for the 8th District. And myself, Marlon Penn. Just happy to be among the group. But it says that it's 10 then, and Verna Malone. It says that you come from a legacy of service and service to your people. Persons who have led the way of service, and when we stand here on their shoulders, and we have a responsibility to continue a legacy of service to the people of our community and the people of this entire Virgin Islands. I had a thought when I got out of my vehicle and the rain started to come down. I said that our ancestors were smiling on this day. Alpha Gina and Clarita was up there comparing notes. Yeah. And said, well, Clarita, you were in the lead. But I tell you now, each of them have 4 members who sat in this house, and Uncle Alvin is pulling up the rear of blessed memory with 1. So I think it's a proud moment for our family, a proud moment for our community, and I think I needed to put that on record, that we are so proud. And I also want to recognize as well your family in the gallery. Your father, Bennett Smith, and my dear cousin and conscience, Gina Smith. She keeps me straight. Whenever I shift to the wrong side, she lets me know. And you need persons like that in your life to keep you balanced, keep you even keel. And Tessa and Neil, who was here earlier, and I know your other brother, who probably couldn't make it today, Clive, who couldn't make it today. I want to acknowledge them and acknowledge the entire family. But Don, you represent you epitomizes excellence. Not just because we're related and not because you're Virgin Islander, because of the work you've done, the positions you've held, and the reputation you left in those positions speaks volume of what you're going to do moving forward in this new role as Attorney General. You were the head of the London's office. You worked in private practice in the private sector, legal counsel for the Financial Services Commission, PS in the Premier's office, and now Attorney General. And I had the pleasure of working alongside you after Hurricanes Irma and Maria in the Premier's office, one of the most difficult and challenging time for us as Virgin Islanders. And you handled it with grace, you handled it with strength, and it was very difficult, and we all know the times that we went through during that period. And you always kept your integrity intact throughout it all in the decision that we had to make coming out of that very difficult period. And I know the same will be true when you take up this role as Attorney General. You and I share a love for technology and the digitization of the service and the process. I would like to see us move in that direction in this honorable house. It's been my swan song since I've been here. I think it's important for us to modernize the way that we do business in this territory, modernize the way as we operate as legislators. We need to modernize our legislative framework as well to ensure that we are on the cutting edge at all times and we're agile enough to adapt to a changing, ever-changing world. We see what's happening around us with COVID-19. Technology has become king with COVID-19.
homeschooling, working remotely, all the likes. It requires an agile legislative framework to be able to accommodate these things. And we need to be able to modernize very quickly our legislative agenda, legislative framework within the territory to be more ICT friendly. And I know that you understand this, and I know you understand what needs to happen, and I'm excited for the road ahead in this endeavor, as well as all the other things that we might do in this house and working together in this house. I promise not to be too long. It's only 15 minutes, but I think we have some privilege as leader opposition in Premier. But I'll respect the house. But what I would say is that when I was coming here, Don, I was trying to figure out what your appointment means to me and means to the people of this Virgin Islands. And I had a quote from, my wife gave me a quote, something that she posted some time ago, by Chief Supreme Court, who just recently passed Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And it reads, "Women belong in all places where decisions are being made." And I believe that to be true too, Don. You are uniquely qualified for the role that you hold right now. Not just, and I heard the women here speak today in terms of what it means to them as women. And one thing about women and Virgin Island women in particular, they stick together. They're all connected, they all hold each other up. We men need to learn something from that. They ensure that they empower each other, make sure that they support each other throughout the process, and that's a good thing. And I know you mean a lot to a lot of young girls throughout this territory, throughout our community, who, when they hear your story, that little girl that lived right next to the road there, Chapel Hill, right there off of Chapel Hill, walking out, going with this baby supermarket to get cornflakes and milk. And here she is now, the Attorney General of the Virgin Islands. You can be that person. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve as a Virgin Islander once you work hard, remain committed, and do the work. You can achieve anything you aspire to. But not just for the women, though. Those young men as well, they need to aspire to greatness as well. And when they see persons like yourself, persons like Neville Sheep Smith, persons like Natalia Smith, persons like all the members in this Honorable House, Honorable Mitch Turnbull, Honorable Mark Vanderpool, the Honorable Premier in the West, Honorable Whitley from Virgin Gorda, all corners of this Virgin Islands. They need to say, I can too aspire to that. And we need to continue to tell our stories. And I read out that historical situation for a reason, so people could know that you could aspire to be anything you want to be in life, despite your current circumstance. And we need to continue to uplift and empower people to achieve their greatest potential. And I know that you are a person that is from that ilk, that will continue to push and empower your staff so that we don't wait another 20 years when you decide that you want to depart the seat of Attorney General. There's someone there ready to take your spot. And I want to acknowledge the DPP. Another woman, another Virgin Islander woman, sitting in the seat of Director of Public Prosecution. It represents hope. It represents what all we could aspire to as a people. Two of the highest legal positions in the land, held by two Virgin Islander women. Stephanie Scatless Esprit. I apologize, Stephanie. I'm sure you'll accept my apology. That is what we should, this is a proud moment. And I will admit, my eyes are getting heavy, I'm going to stop soon. It's a proud moment. It's a proud moment for all of us. So when the speaker said what he said, he was right. I said, she's one of we. Not just us in Eastern Lanlock, she's one of we. All are we in the Virgin Islands. And we all should be proud of her accomplishments. We all should be proud of where she is today. And we all should encourage her, not just be critical of her. We would do so when it needs to be, but also uplift her. Help her through the process. And I know that you have the support of former Attorney Generals, and I would like to recognize those persons as well. Mr. Lewis Hunt, who was here, and again, our cousin, Honorable Dancy Penn Salah QC, who I'm sure would be a source of support to you as you transition through this process. So in closing, I just want to say, Don, you know how I feel about you. You know that we have a special relationship, and this appointment means a lot to me. It means a lot to our community. It means a lot to our territory. It means a lot to our family. And I'm extremely proud of the woman you are, the woman you've become, and the woman I know you continue to become as you transition in life. And I look forward to great moments in this honorable house and working together on some of these critical pieces of legislation that are important, not just to that government and this administration, but is important to us as Virgin Islanders, to ensure that we work to diversify the economy, to ensure that we work to put things in place to ensure that we empower all our people of these Virgin Islands. And I'm excited for the journey ahead as we work together. Again, this is an appointment well-deserved, and I'm extremely proud, and I speak on behalf of all the people of the Eastern Lanlock community. There is no separation, and my family and my wife, who couldn't be here, we say a heartfelt congratulations to you, Cousin Don.
I thank the member for the 8th District for his contribution. The honor is mine now to invite the Honorable Attorney General Dawn J. Smith to make her presentation.
Mr. Speaker, I dedicate my presentation today to expressing my sincere thanks to the government and people of the Virgin Islands for the confidence that they are placing in me to perform the role, duties, and responsibilities of Attorney General. In doing so, I will talk about who I am, how I got here, and what I am going to do. Mr. Speaker, I did not make myself. Nearly 50 years ago, I was born at what was then Peebles Hospital on what I have always believed was the happiest day of my parents' life. Naturally, they cannot admit to this, as they have 3 other children, all of whom have made them very proud. I, on the other hand, decided to become a lawyer. Under the care and tending of my parents, teachers, community, and extended family, I made my way through the public school system, the Eastern Primary School, and the BVI High School. As the valedictorian of the BVI High School class of 1988, I was awarded government-funded scholarships that together with my parents' contributions supported me over 9 years of tertiary education. I tried my best throughout not to disappoint, and on completion of my studies, I was very happy to return home. I have no regrets whatsoever that I did. You see, Mr. Speaker, I was fortunate to have been welcomed to the bar even before I was called to the bar. In fourth form, my Spanish teacher asked one of the most senior members of the bar at the time to take me under his wing for job training. He agreed and gave me my first real exposure to the practice of law. In his chambers, a young lawyer took the time to tell me about the honorable profession of law, with its traditions as old as the hills, and she introduced me to legal dress. A couple years later, when I was employed as a legal secretary under the watchful eye of one of my aunts, I was captivated by the sincerity of another lawyer as he talked about and in his work demonstrated his love for the law. Then, having just been admitted to Cave Hill, I boldly introduced myself to an up-and-coming lawyer when I saw him walking on Main Street one afternoon. He was very gracious, and I was rewarded with a letter of introduction to a friend in Barbados, and, as in the case of the other lawyers I have mentioned, mentorship from then on. After being admitted to practice, I saw the kaleidoscope of life and law through property and bank transactions, wills and probate, admiralty, divorces, adoptions, debt collection, corporate work, litigation, and whatever else came my way. My seniors and contemporaries at the bar would challenge me as an opponent, yet remind me to notch every win in my desk, no matter how small. Even court staff would give me tips on presenting my cases. It seems as if everyone pitched in. Mr. Speaker, I have learned a lot from many people. I have avoided naming names because, truth be told, we would be here for quite some time if I were to individually acknowledge the many people from everywhere and from all walks of my life that have brought me here today. From them, I have learned that all of us contribute to the existence of each other, that we must use what talents we have and not let others define us, not to fear adversity, and to cherish my visions, my dreams, and my independent spirit. That is not to say, Mr. Speaker, that there were no difficult, or as we call them, interesting times, or people who were not so nice. In fact, there were many, and I expect that there will be many more. But I have long resolved, in the words of the prayer that some of us know, to do my allotted task with unflagging faithfulness, to be gentle in the face of ingratitude or when slander distorts my noblest motives, and to come to the end of each day with a feeling that I have used its gifts gratefully and faced its trials bravely. Mr. Speaker, the Office of the Attorney General requires a combination of independence, expertise, and seniority. Our Constitution tells us that there shall be an Attorney General whose office shall be a public office and who shall be appointed in accordance with Section 95. It also tells us that the Attorney General shall be the principal legal advisor to the government and, among other things, that the Attorney General is an ex officio member of Cabinet, the House of Assembly, and the National Security Council, and a member of the Prerogative of Mercy Committee. Apart from the Constitution, several laws prescribe responsibilities for the Attorney General, and the Attorney General also has to ensure, as the job description puts it, the smooth and efficient operation of chambers. In addition, the Attorney General has to perform as a lawyer with the special professional obligations which attach as a legal practitioner, as an officer of the court, as the head of the bar, and as the legal representative of her client, the government. Mr. Speaker, I started by saying that I did not make myself. Now I go further and say that given the plethora and variety of responsibilities attached to the role, I alone cannot make a success of my tenure as Attorney General. The government, including the entire public service, is an interdependent sum of its many parts, and time will tell whether I will be able and allowed to do what I am perfectly capable of doing. I cannot work miracles, Mr. Speaker, and I will rely on you and all the honorable members and participants in this honorable House to conduct the subject affairs in an exemplary manner. Politics aside, for that is not my role, may we always be candid and respectful to each other, always mindful of who we are and who and what we represent. I will depend on decision makers at all levels of the public service to make good decisions, those that are substantively sound, follow a fair process, and comply with the law. Mr. Speaker, I have every confidence that the Honorable Premier and Minister of Finance will do his part. But I will look to the Governor's group to ensure that the Chambers is, as advertised, a normal working environment. In 2020, this must mean that it will be equipped and staffed to deliver the quantity and quality of legal representation in the manner befitting the government of a modern, progressive society, which you will agree, Mr. Speaker, we are. I expect that every single member of chambers, attorneys, and other professional and support staff will bring their best selves to work every day, to take pride in our work and in ourselves, and to be relentless in delivering the highest quality of service, advice, and representation to the government. And I will hold the bar at large, and the BVI Bar Association in particular, to continue and indeed to improve its contributions to the practice and rule of law in these islands and to mentorship, professional development, and continuing legal education. Mr. Speaker, my fundamental responsibility as Attorney General is to act in the public interest. I will do this by speaking law and truth to power and seeking to come up with the best solutions to ensure, firstly, that the operations of the government are conducted lawfully and constitutionally, and second, to ensure that the government is not prevented from lawfully implementing its chosen policies. Mr. Speaker, I am who I am. Clearly, I'm a woman. I'm also a Virgin Islander, and I'm going to say a few words about that. On the 11th of February 2004, the then government appointed a commission to carry out a review of the 1967 Constitution with a view to ensuring the continued advancement and good governance of the Virgin Islands, and in particular to review, among other things, the duties of the Attorney General as a chief legal advisor to the government. In their 2005 report, the constitutional commissioners, who were drawn from a cross-section of the Virgin Islands community, recommended that the Constitution expressly establish the office of the Attorney General and provide for that office to be filled in the first instance by a suitably qualified belonger. Only where such a person cannot be found or is not available, they recommended, ought the position to be filled by someone else, and in such instance, only on contract. Mr. Speaker, as the then director of the BVI London office, I, like the Honorable Member for the 3rd District, was in the room when the 2007 constitutional negotiations were concluded. From that moment, the Constitution was destined to provide, as it now does, that no person shall be appointed to the office of Attorney General unless he or she belongs to the Virgin Islands, unless, in the opinion of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission, there is no such person who is suitably qualified and able and willing to be so appointed. Mr. Speaker, it has taken 13 years for this recommendation, which was strongly urged on the constitutional commissioners by the public and the Legislative Council as it was then, and accepted by the framers of the Constitution to come to fruition. Before me, only one such person, 21 years ago, has held this position. Of course, I recognize those persons who, not being belongers at the time, have subsequently attained that status. But there, Mr. Speaker, the cat was very much before the horse. Mr. Speaker, the constitutional commissioners themselves recognized what they called the practical limitations on finding Virgin Islanders willing to take up the mantle, even for a short period. I confess that as a Virgin Islander, I did not, for many years, see this particular job or even working in chambers as a newly qualified lawyer or at any point in my career as even remotely attractive. However, the strength of support and good wishes following the rumors and announcement of my appointment has been sobering and cause for personal introspection. We have to get our act together, Mr. Speaker, and I hope that during my tenure, whatever it is that creates such an unwillingness can be rectified and banished forever. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I come back to expressing my thanks. I cannot end without expressing here my special gratitude to our God for his goodness and mercy, to my beloved Daniel, my parents, Alphagina and Bennett, my siblings Neil, Tessa and Clive, my beautiful children everywhere, and my extended family for their enduring love and acceptance. I acknowledge the confidence being placed in me and the efforts and sacrifices that have been made on my behalf or for my betterment. Mr. Speaker, I have been blessed with praise, warm congratulations, and well wishes from all over these islands and across the globe. They use words like hopeful, happy, and proud. And it is not lost on me that while being the Attorney General is my responsibility, my being the Attorney General means many things to many people. I now know from the outpouring of support, good wishes, and praise that I represent not just myself, but the people who have made me who I am, for better or worse. Those who share my experiences, those who wish me well, and those who are depending on me to perform my responsibilities to the highest standard. I am, of course, also very grateful to you, Mr. Speaker, for organizing this special sitting, for the very warm welcome given to me by the members of this honorable House, and to all in attendance today, in person or online, for their presence. I am well and truly humbled, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Attorney General for her presentation. Honorable members, at this time I recognize the Premier and Minister of Finance and Leader of Government Business and the member for the 1st District, the Honorable Andrew A. Foy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise within the presence of such an august body within these hollow walls to say to all God's blessings as today is a warm and wonderful Virgin Islands Day. And Mr. Speaker, it's also a day in which is Black History Month, Mr. Speaker. And I know that there are those who are going to say, well, how could it be Black History Month because that is in February. But Mr. Speaker, the USA and Canada celebrates Black History Month in February. But Ireland, the Netherlands, and the UK, they celebrate Black History Month in October. So, Mr. Speaker, how fitting a day to swear in or Indigenous Virgin Islander than on the beginning of Black History Month in the UK, which is over us. Mr. Speaker, today is a warm and wonderful Virgin Islands Day. And the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Neville Smith, was correct when the honorable member said that it is the dawn of a new day. And I associate myself with this expression. But I wish to stress and stretch that expression a little further to profoundly and prophetically state that this is the dawning of many new mornings in our beloved Virgin Islands. We're getting to the destination where ancestors started the journey and died, but died with the hope that their future generations would get there one day once we remain in prayer, keep trusting in God, especially for His wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, protection, and guidance. This day means that we are getting there, step by step. Each time we have constitutional review, and we're having one now, and every member knows that. And this allows us to have more opportunities for constitutional and political advancement. This means that we're getting there. Our ancestors will be proud of all 14 of us in this honorable house as we were elected from out of the bowels of the people of the Virgin Islands through democracy. This means that we are getting there. Our deputy governor is a son of the soil of the bowels of the people of the Virgin Islands. This means that we are getting there. Our leader of the opposition is a son of the soil of the bowels of the people of the Virgin Islands. This means that we are getting there. Our premier is a son of the soil of the bowels of the people of the Virgin Islands. This means that we are getting there. Millicent Mercer was the first woman of the BVI to attempt to enter into politics, paving the way for many ladies that are here today and our new Attorney General. This means that we are getting there. Our Speaker is a son of the soil, or Clark is a daughter of the soil. Our first and only local Attorney General, Honorable Dancia Penn Salah, all people out of the soil and out of the bowels of the people of the Virgin Islands. This means that we are getting there. Our public officers in senior positions, our financial secretary, are all persons out of the bowels of the people of the Virgin Islands, like our Attorney General is today. This means we are getting there. And soon our Commissioner of Police, the post, and the head of prison, and our governor post, and our governor general post will be filled by a Virgin Islander. That means we are getting there. Today's swearing in of Ms. Dawn Smith as a daughter of the soil as Attorney General is not just about an appointment or a high post, but a reminder that we must remain laser focused on our journey and our appointment with destiny for our territory. Today represents a day of hope. Today renews our energy to keep our hands on the plow, because today means that we are getting there. Today is a day of hope in the advancement of our people, where every young boy and girl of the Virgin Islands who are in primary school, high school, and university can have the confidence and the audacity to dream about taking up their rightful place in society in the BVI. And by viewing what is taking place today with the appointment of Ms. Dawn Smith in the Attorney General office, reassures them with profound confidence that is not only possible, but it is achievable. This means that we are getting there. So today, we use the hope of us all as a people of the Virgin Islands that once we do not get weary, we will rise to the top and be the best of the best in our Virgin Islands. This means we're getting there. This, Mr. Speaker, is what your government is fighting for. This, Mr. Speaker, is why we don't get entangled about those who claim what we are fighting against. To Madam Attorney General, your government looks forward to proceeding pellucid, which is your word, that I've learned over the years, relationship. As your government ministries and departments work together with the new Attorney General and the Attorney General's chambers under your leadership. Mr. Speaker, I urge the Attorney General, Ms. Dawn Smith, to always keep the integrity of the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, it's important for this office of the Attorney General to keep the integrity of the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, because once we keep the integrity of the rule of law, then even governments can be challenged to ensure that there's democracy. And I encourage persons to challenge the government with judiciary review for any action that they feel that the government did not do according to the rule of law in the best interest of the people of the Virgin Islands. It is a useful tool to ask the court to review any decision written or done by the executive of the territory. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing for democracy. And that's why the separation of powers is so important to the rule of law, because the court is there to ensure that any breach or misinterpretation of the law by the executive can be reviewed via judiciary review. And I welcome any judiciary review against any decision the executive makes, as in the Miller cases in the United Kingdom, which I am studying very, very, very thoroughly right now. Because no man or woman is above the law, and all men and women are subject to the law. So I urge the Attorney General to ensure that she maintains the rule of law. We are dependent on you, Madam Attorney General, for sound legal advice so that we can escape claims like we have that reached the Privy Council and we lost and are costing us millions of dollars. Claims such as Global Waters, over 20 million. Delta Petroleum, over 6 million. And the list could go on. We need sound legal advice because it costs taxpayers in the end. So with your good advice, we can avoid these claims against the taxpayers in the best interest of the people of the Virgin Islands. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that this is a glorious day, because this day means that we are getting there. And Mr. Speaker, on behalf of my wife, Mrs. Sheila Foy, that's in the gallery, one of the most beautiful ladies that is in the gallery, my two daughters, and I, the people of the 4th District. Oh, I'm the premier, but I have to say the people of the 4th District, not only because I'm the representative for the 4th District, but I hear all kind of people stand up here and give all kind of accolades to every place else in the world, except the 1st District, where your father is from. And had he not ventured to the east and formed the union to bring forth these children, we would not be here. So while your mother had a very active role to play, we still have to thank the people from the West. It shows that we not only plant good seeds, but we also bear good fruits. And remember too that my mom sends congratulations because your grandfather, your father's father was her godfather. In all one family from the West, and your grandfather was in politics. And remember his slogan, I was a little boy giving out the t-shirts. People will talk. Let them talk. I had some shorts when he was older and he gave them out, they were green and white right now. I remember, people will talk. Let them talk. And I didn't know while I was giving out those shorts that I would need that slogan now. I don't think the short could fit, but the slogan still will. So all of them from the West have sent their greatest congratulations And the people of the entire Virgin Islands say congratulations to you, Ms. Dawn Smith, the new Attorney General. I too pay homage to the former Premier for fighting for putting this clause in the Constitution, that it must be a Virgin Islander that's qualified. And that is what governments are supposed to do. But I also pay homage to my government for holding those persons whose feet had to be held to the fire to finally adhere to it. Because a lot is in our Constitution for us. But there are those of us giving up our constitutional powers and not realizing the authority we have and the power that we have in us as a people to stick together and not ask for what is ours, but demand to give us what is already etched in the corners, four corners of the book and inside the covers of the Constitution of the Virgin Islands. There's no one that is over us. It is that we are with each other, and we have to demand what is ours. So I also want to congratulate. And you come in a very aggressive time. There are those who fabricating that I'm a bully and a dictator. I don't blame them, because there's a fine line between aggressiveness and dictatorship. But I'm not running a dictatorship. I'm running an accelerated ship. Because we are so behind as a people, and we are comfortable where we are and not understanding how behind we are. And when we see people land here and get in front of us, we want to blame them. But it's us. We have to get out of our comfort zone, as the Minister of Natural Resources said, and start to plow ahead and realize that it's not enough to just be a Virgin Islander anymore. It's not enough just to be born here. We have to educate ourselves and emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, because no one else, as Bob Marley said, would do it for us. And more that we are doing this when we take our rightful place in this position. And it brings my heart with joy, knowing that we pushed and pushed to make sure that that section of the Constitution was adhered to. I don't regret a day of any memo that I wrote. I don't regret a day of any action that I did. I didn't know which Virgin Islander would land in your post or DPP post or any post. But one thing I can say that about this government, when the term is over, that most of the posts, if not all, would have been filled by Virgin Islanders because of the insistence of the present government. It's nothing against anyone. But when we take our rightful place like Attorney General, and we take our rightful place everywhere, what we're doing is securing the future of those to come. So you have come at a time when we have constitutional review, an aggressive legislative agenda, because that is how this government is moving. We have a lot of them. As a matter of fact, your first memo is already on your desk with what all I need done for the people from this government. And we need to maintain the rule of law. So congratulations, Attorney General Dawn Smith. And I want to say, I urge you to have as your mantra one of the most powerful verses in the Bible that people overlook and just read it and bypass the power in the words. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ, who strengthens me. He didn't say you can do all things except get through the struggles of the Attorney General. He said all. He didn't say you could do some of the things except for not getting us through the constitutional review. He said all. He didn't say you're going to do certain things in the Attorney General office except that you might not have everything you need. He said you're going to get all. So once you keep your trust in knowing that your strength cometh from God, and He's who's going to strengthen you, then you can do all things in this Attorney General's post. And so can each of us as a people of the Virgin Islands. So, Ms. Smith, as the former AG departed, I give him mathematical terms to depart with. But now I come and I give you the same. May God subtract your enemies. May God add a great wisdom to you. May God multiply his favor in your life like never before. May God exponentially give you favor, grace, mercy, and the patience to run the race that is set before you. Because generations born that are young are now looking to you as hope. That there is hope in these Virgin Islands. That I can aspire to get to the highest offices in the land. Hope for women. I don't know why people are always fighting for women's rights. I grew up in a house of women, and all of them were always right up to now. They beat me up. They were in charge. I have a hard time with it. I don't know about nobody else. Because to me, they were always in charge. So women were always in charge, so they know what they have to do is take back their rightful place. And no one likes to do self-praise, but I would say this. When the history book is written about women in politics, in Attorney General office, and everywhere in the territory, this premier was go along with one who brought the most women along, Honorable Alva. Thank you, women. Honorable Alva Maduro-Keynes, Honorable Shireen Flax-Charles, Honorable Sherry DeCastro, the Attorney General, Ms. Dawn Smith, and more to come, and more in other places of government, that you insist not only for equality, but equity. Because persons forget that it's not only equality we seek, but equity. So with that I say, to God's blessings, and welcome to a position that this might be the only glorious day that you have without any major work on your mind. But there will be many more glorious days, but there will be plenty of work on your mind. I'm indeed proud to be a Virgin Islander today. And I say to God be the glory. Congratulations.
I thank the Premier for his contribution. Before I call on the clerk, just a little housekeeping matters. I think Mr. Leonard has organized at the end for some photos to be taken. So, honorable members, please don't slip out into the night. At this time, I call upon the clerk.
Item number 7, adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just doing some housekeeping with one or two matters. Mr. Speaker, I rise to adjourn this House, the House Senate. Honorable House Senate, sorry.
Honorable members, the motion has been moved and seconded that this House be adjourned. Those in favor? Those against? This Honorable House is now adjourned sine die.